G'day little nippers, and welcome to another episode of the restricted section. In this series, I go over and review films that may not be suitable for the little nippers out there. So you have been warned. The Napoleonic era is one of my favourite periods in history. It shaped the way many of the European countries of today are placed and provided many with the first modern versions of human rights. So any opportunity to watch a period war drama is fine with me. So sit back and enjoy my first historic movie on the list, Master and Commander. The film, quite frankly, is brilliant in terms of effort, historical accuracy and pacing, though not for the reasons you may think. The acting is superb, and considering the time this was released in 2003, I'm surprised no one is talking about it anymore. It sets a very clear marker at what historical movies should be, and couples it beautifully with entertainment. The story naturally takes place during Napoleon's rule of most of Europe during the early 19th century, and the film wastes no time in delving into the everyday maritime life of a British soldier in those days, from what they ate, to what they wore, to even how they conducted themselves and interacted with each other. I love that so much effort clearly has been placed into this, and passion clearly shows with a passionate cast and crew. With the highly developed characters, clever build-up of tension and use of cinematography, the main story is a classic one, and very original one too. Of a small British crew led by Russell Crowe to hunt down a French ship called the Acheron that has been decimating a lot of British cargo and warships. Wait a minute, I know this story. Hang on a minute. Okay, so it turns out that the book The Far Side of the World, which this film is based on, the ship that they're hunting down wasn't even French. It was American. And the conflict wasn't the Napoleonic War, but the War of 1812. Not heard of it? That's not surprising. History time! In a short sum up, in 1812 the British Empire were abusing the US shipping rights, and it got pretty bad. There were American nationals being pressed into the Royal Navy, trade ships were not being given the right protocol and couldn't trade with anyone in Europe. Eventually, the US got tired of this and declared war. And for the first couple of months, Britain owned them big time by setting fire to the White House. Yeah, that bad. Eventually the war ended in a stalemate with neither side really victorious, but that is the period that this book is set in, so why change it to French in the film? Well, get this.
The Americans would never back a film in which they were the enemy. It just was confusing emotionally for the audience. Who do they feel for, Jack or their own countrymen? And given it was an American-backed picture, it was asking too much. It was asking too much. It was asking too much.
Eh? What, so American audiences are that delicate and precious that they can't handle being the villains for once? I really hate when filmmakers do this, and while it may not be the director's or the producer's fault, it just seems a shame to me. And I think Nick Hodges from History Buffs summed it up the best.
I do find it a real shame with how Hollywood views its audience, like they're sweet innocent children that need to be sheltered from confusing emotions. I think Americans are a little bit more intelligent than that. Just look at letters from Iwo Jima. The whole movie is told from the perspective of the Japanese as they're fighting Americans. In fact, Letters from Iwo Jima was extremely well received by American audiences.
Yes, I agree. Audiences are more intelligent than you may think. If they're being gypped by a film, they know it. Take the film Zulu, about the Battle of Rorke's Drift between the Zulu Kingdom and the British Empire. The British lost the battle, but they were still able to make a film about it. In fact, it's a big part of the British film classic era. So why can't American audiences be a little more mature about it? Plus, this is a work of fiction based on history. It didn't actually happen. I guess that is my biggest problem with the movie. If you're going to base something on a book, you may as well follow it all the way to the ladder and not change the antagonist because it might confuse certain audiences. Hell, it's never even stopped the Americans making Brits and Russians out as the villain all the time.
Connor is out to kill a group of Templars, all of whom are British, and none are American. In fact, I don't recall being told to kill a single American in the entire game. The problem is that Connor explicitly fights for the Americans and the Templars are only on the British side. This goes against the first game where it was made very clear that assassins don't take sides.
Overall, with great characters, easy to follow story, and expert historical accuracy on the time period, I think this film should be held up as an example to other period films and series about what can happen if you really put passion into your project. With a little effort with the story, tension, and period atmosphere pouring out of this film in every frame, it certainly is one of my historic favourites. I score this film 9 out of 10 Croc Points. A deeply passionate adapted story that really had me on the edge of my seat from start to finish. And though I would have liked it to keep the main story, I feel it best sums up what a good historic classic is. Take care, little nippers. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and, if you can, support me on Patreon. See you in a while, crocodiles!
And given it was an American back picture, you know, it was asking too much.